So in previous class, we discussed about some of the schema modifiers, right? And how what is the purpose of derived column, select, aggregate, also the surrogate key, and the importance of surrogate key and how it plays a major role in the data warehouse kind of a project, right? And the purpose we can generate the auto generation of keys for each of the record, right? So now we will in today we will deep dive into the pivot and window rank external and cast and also some of the row modifiers. Okay, so now before now we get into that, yesterday also we high level touched upon what is pivot, right? So what is pivot? Any clue? Any thoughts from your side? So you would have seen in Excel, right? Excel also provides a pivoting. If you go to insert, you can see pivot table here, right? So assume that this is my data set. Okay, so let's say I wanted to pivot this data set. So I selected the range. Okay, so now what I need to do? What I need to pivot? I wanted to know the um, employees gender wise. For example, I have department number, right? And for example, department 10, 20, 30, and 50. Okay. Now I know gender, right? So what is the gender? So department 30, I might have, sorry, right? So each department, I will have a male, female, male, female, male, female, male, and female. Now I will have a total number of employees on each of those gender, right? So I might have two here, two here, one here, two here, and three here, two here, something like. Okay, I'm just giving. I'm not using this one. Right. So these are the output. But this can be easily achieved using the aggregate function. You just need to take the department and uh, gender and then just take a count of employees using the aggregate function. You don't need a pivot to do that. But my requirement is, what if I want a department, I want count of male employees and count of female employees, right? Something like I need a count. For example, department, I have count of male 2 and count of male, female is 3, something like. I have department 20, count of male 3, and here is 1. I have 30 and 3 to something like, right? So basically, if you see, the count male and female are available as a rows. If you can see, gender is male, female, something like this, right? So now these are the.
Sir, I think Sachit waiting. Sir, please allow.
Is it? I didn't get I didn't get that. Okay. So now, as you can see, the gender is available in the form of rows. but the requirement is to convert that rows into columns, right? Though um, it's available over the rows, but it's a, we need to aggregate and convert them into a columns and then give the output. Okay, so this output even looks a little clumsy because each department can have two records. I want to aggregate this also and get the for a department level what is that male count and what is my female count. Right, so you will very often see these level of requirements. Right, so how to do it with a pivot. Now I created a pivot. If you see it over here, so now you can see I know you need to select a columns, rows, and values. So what is my column? I want a column of male, and female as my column, right? So what I can do, use the gender as in my columns. Okay. Now what I can do, I can and the row labels I can use the department because you see the department is what the rows. Sorry. Okay. So on the value side, I can use the number of employees. Now you can see and change it over here. Now you see department 10 had one female and one male and grand total is equal to 2. Department 20 had 1, 2 and department 30 and department 50 doesn't have any females and just have a male. So now we with the use of pivot we converted these rows into columns. You see female and male are appearing in the columns. So that is the uh, beauty of pivoting. So you are pivoting, converting rows into a columns. Okay. So that we can achieve using the pivot, and let's see how we can do it over mapping data flow. Okay. So now I created and I have a data source, same as employee. Okay. So you can see the data. Right. I have added a new column called employee. Sorry, gender. Right, and we will pivot this gender into convert those gender into a rows to column. Okay, so now let's take pivot over here. Now if you remember whatever we discussed in the Excel, right? So how we did this one, the same configuration you might have to do here as well. Okay, so let's give gender pivot. So now you see the description comes automatically when you select this one. Pivot rows values into columns, groups, columns, and aggregates the data. Okay. So now what is the grouping here? So I want to group it by department level, right? So let's select the grouping column is the department. Okay, so let's see what is my uh, sorry projection here. Okay, I need to turn on this one. Let's turn on debug. So when you import the projection, it automatically identifies those columns. Okay, so by default it might not do that. So you have to turn on the debug and you need to import that projected columns and all. This takes a while, but it will come out. Let's see. Okay, so it's successfully imported. Now you can see the column names are coming. Okay, so now let's use that here. Okay, so you are grouping by department number. Okay, then you need to mention the pivot key. So what is that pivot key here? Which column are we converting to columns to row? Sorry, rows to column? Gender, right? If we wanted the gender column to be pivoted into male and female columns. Okay, so let's select that. Okay, now moving on to pivot columns. So now what are the pivot columns? So you can give the name and expression over here, right? So the expression, go to that expression builder. So what are we trying to do here? We're just trying to, these are the pivot, this is the pivot column. So we are trying get the count of employees, right? Count of employee ID. So the same thing we will apply over here. Okay, let's go back. So the moment you type count, it will automatically come and you just need to input the schema over here. Okay, so let's do the preview. Now, how many of you already used pivot in any other languages like uh, Excel or SQL? You guys have already used or know about pivoting?
Yep, both.
Yeah, right. So it's the same. Any other language, how it works, the same thing. As you can see, 10, 20, 30, and the same. Whatever we had it over here, the same came over here.
What is the practical use of this one, sir? Like in ADF, I'm just curious to understand, do you have any practical use of this in ADF?
Absolutely. See, when you're getting the data, when you're getting the data from source is in a raw format, right? So
Mhm,
assume that you got this data for a 1 million 1 million employees.
mhm,
Oh, sorry, right? So
mhm,
now CEO or the management asks you to report into a I wanted to find the department wise how many males females are there,
mhm,
right? And you got this data from a different source, like maybe a Salesforce uh, or a workday HR system or a PeopleSoft HR system, right? It's not a consumable format, right? So
mhm.
you need to use this data set as an input, and you need to use this transformation, and then generate a report out of this and send to them.
Okay.
right?
So,
So now to do that, you can write, you can write a you can take it into Python and you can write your own logic with the hundreds of codes, or you can use the ADF directly if you're using if you're a part of the um, the Power BI report or whatever it may be, you can directly use this and you can generate the output. Yeah.
Okay. One of the challenge which I see with this pivot, if it is too big data, then it is
Mhm.
very slow. Does it also applies to ADF side?
No, no. So that is the beauty of ADF. So you remember ADF, it's in cloud based and it auto scales out and scales in as per the data needs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you have a thousands of records, Excel breaks, right? Excel is using your own laptop compute and laptop storage,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But whereas ADF uses the cloud storage and your cloud storage and the compute. You remember
Okay.
that when we turn on debug, it uses the cluster.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what does it
Yeah.
mean by cluster, right? It's a different. You have multiple nodes. Let's say your data set is in billion. Let's say you got a 1 billion employee data. Your organization very big, so you got a 1 billion records of data, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now
Mm-hmm.
the cluster you are using here, it may not be the small size cluster may not work out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
what ADF automatically does is it gets the scales out. It adds multiple nodes, right, and multiple compute and nodes to the cluster, and then it scales out.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then tomorrow you have very less that. For example, I don't need any huge cluster to process these tons of records, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
in that case, it automatically scales in and it releases the rest of the cluster which are not required.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so that's the benefit of the cloud computing.
Okay. Yeah.
So now you can see easily the count of male, count of female. We got it. Now, if required, we can you can use this into an output format, right? Create a sync, and use the output directly into that sync, and then you can use it for the further reporting,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's how these are the transformations.
Okay.
Now, unpivot is exactly opposite of pivot. Okay, but it's a very rare case. You will get a pivot data and then convert it to unpivoting kind of a thing. But I want you to explore this, okay, and do some hands-on and using your own way of unpivoting, and let me know if you face any challenges. Okay. See, as part of the transformation, all these options are available for you to know and then use as is in your day-to-day activities in a real-time manner, right? It's up to you which one might come up. For example, I might use a derived column, I might use a select based on the need and the based on the requirement, right? But if you don't know what is derived, what is select, it doesn't matter whether if the requirement is there or not. You If you don't know, you will never use this, and you will be struggling to do it in a different way of your own way of doing things, which might break the system. Okay, so it's very important to understand these concepts and what are the pre-built functions are available. For example, if you see the same, right, if you see this builder, right, this expression builder, there are huge number of functions and already um, available pre-calculated values. If you see, if I click here, I can see the text over here, and if I see here, I can see. So how does it help you? Add page strings numbers. You can see an example. So a very beautiful, way of explaining and intuitive way of user experience. That is for us to explore and know that okay, there is something is available. You can see hundreds and of thousands of available. Now you need to remember everything. Absolutely no. Okay, but you just need to know that okay, look, there is a expression builder is available, data flow expression, which is a beautiful way of pre-calculated functions and expressions are available, so that you can take a look and you can use them, and you can easily type over here if you don't know something. Okay, so that's the way of and working with the Azure Data Factory. And as you work more and more, you get familiar, and you are very versed with what are the options available, what you can use, what you cannot use, and what is the best way of using one expression over the other one. So all the things you will be figured out over here. But doing hands-on and keeping on top of the mind is the most important things. Okay. So explore this and explore about the unpivot, how it works, and then come up with the questions if you have anything. Okay. Now the next one is window function. So what is window function? Anybody?
Window function. I think it's okay. What is window function? I don't remember, but it's mainly used for aggregation purpose in SQL. I don't know if it's the same concept goes to ADF also.
You're right.
Win- Yeah.
So as you said, it's mainly for aggregation. I understand. Okay. Yeah. So aggregation, what it does, if you aggregate this data, what will happen? You will get, for example,
Oh,
department.
is it the same like a partitioning, ranking?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. 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 Okay.
So if you aggregate this data, what will happen? Okay, so let me give you the definition first. So a window function is basically performs a calculation across the set of table rows. Okay, which is your aggregation, right? Aggregation also does the same thing, right? It's a, for example, department 10, I have a set of records. So it does the aggregation, and it works on those set of records, and it gives you the aggregate and gives you the result, right? So this is a comparable to type of a calculation that can be done with an aggregated function, right? So similar, it's a similar like but the difference is, unlike regular aggregate functions, use of window function does not cause rows to become a grouped into a single output. So what does that mean? So if I aggregate, for example, if I take a department number and average salary, so what it does is it's for example, average salary department 20,000, and average salary of department is 30,000, something like, right? So what happened here? It basically it uses this data set, right? And it's basically it's grouped that records, right? It's grouped, so become 10 records. For example, 10 or 10, 12 records becoming one or two records, right? It's group those records and gives you the average salary, right? This is how aggregation works. But we what is sorry, but the difference between aggregate and window function is, window function does not group it in a single row. Okay, it keeps the row as is, and it will give you the average salary. For example, in the same example, if you take, okay, so what it does is it eliminates that grouping. And you can see the average salary over here. So within the 10 department, what is the average salary? And within the 20 department, what is the average salary? within 30 days, what is the average salary? Now again, we are coming back to 10. It will again give you what is the average salary. Right. So when you're coming with again with the 10, what is the average salary? So at the first record, first record is 10,000. Right. So when you had a second employee of 10, what would happen? 10 plus 18, 28. 28 by 2, 14. It becomes a 14,000. Right. So it's basically the running average salary, I would say. Right. So it's a simple, if you think about 10, 10, 10. Right. So there are 3 employees are there, and his salary is 10,000, his salary is 15,000, and his salary is 20,000. Right. Now, what is the average salary? So when this guy was there, for this guy is 10,000 only. When this guy is was added, what would become? So there is already one employee exist in the same department. Now his salary plus his salary is what? 25 by 2, which is become 12,500. And the third employee comes, it's all 3, right? 45 by 3, 15,000. So how does it works? So the with out of this 3 departments, right? So we have 3 departments people. Out of these 3 departments, what it does is internally, it's windowing out the each of these departments. So department 10 this will become one window, window 1, and department 20, it will become another window, and department 30 will become another window. This will become your window 3. So this is how the window functions work. So basically the one data sets, it windows into multiple create windows into multiple uh, windows. It chunks into multiple windows, and then it does the aggregation over there. This is not possible with the simple aggregation. Got it? So that is the beauty of window file, and then it will gives you the without making a single output out of this. It keeps the original output as is and will give you the result. Okay, so that is the purpose of window functions. Okay, so now how does it windows, and what is the calculations it does? It's all internal to that, internal to the process, and it does automatically by using the window key and all other stuff. Okay, so now let's see it does internally, so you need not worry how it does the windowing and all. For you to give the average salary across the department, it automatically calculates. Okay, so let's deep dive into how it works. Okay, so now again I have employee. Let's do the window. Okay, so now there are a couple of options available. Okay, so is anybody from SQL background here? Sajid, you are right.
Yeah,
Okay,
correct.
so now in SQL you have a for example, select department number. Okay, and average salary. Okay, now average salary, what you want to do over partition
Different.
By
rank or partition by maybe department
department and
number
order.
and
If you have any order specific,
order.
you can give order. Otherwise,
Yeah,
order is optional,
correct.
right? And partition by something you will mention. Okay. So then what it does internally, it will internally create a partition by department. You remember this one? It creates partition 1, and this would become your partition 2, and this would become your partition 3. Right? Since we are partitioned by department, so there are 3 departments are there, and of course there are one more 50. There is going to be one more partition. So internally it does the partitioning, and then and works on those aggregates, works on the aggregation. So this average salary calculates on the each partition, right? For example, partition 1, what is the average and how it calculates, partition 2 and partition so on and so forth. Okay, so similar same concepts you have to apply over here. So you want to calculate the over what is that partition key over here. We want to look at department. Right. So now if you have any sorting specifications, you need to mention. Otherwise sorting is order by is optional. Okay, so nothing you can see, you will not see anything, but if you have anything you can do that. So where the partition where the sorting might help you will come into the another example. Okay, so now range by, we don't have any range by, let's leave it as now window clause. So what are we what clause are we doing here over here? So we wanted to generate the average salary, right? So that will become your window clause. Now do that, and you give that for example average salary, right? Now give that expression over here. Okay, so okay, so now let's deep dive. Now you see there is an average salary been added and then it automatically calculated that and it just kept. You see for 10 it's 14, and 20 it's changed to something, and 30 it's again changed, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's how you will use the window function. There are so many options are available. For example, let's say you want to um, department number sort by you want to salary by descending order, right? So here window function you want to use a rank. You remember? Okay, so now go to here. There is a rank function is available. You see dense rank. Now what is the difference between rank and dense rank? That's again a homework for you. Now you see it's created a rank. for department 10, rank is 1 and 2, and again 20, it again restated that rank 1, 2, 3. And again department 30, 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5, and department 50, and they want to. So let's say you want to rank them based on the salary, right? So if you see department, it's ordered. We have selected salary as descending order, right? So within the department, it's already ordered the data in a descending order of salary, and then created the rank. So 18,000 is 1, 10 is 2. And after that, in department 20, 38, 27, and 20. So 1, 2, 3. And within 30, 50, 48, 42, and all this order been descended, and then accordingly it's created the ranks. So these are the purposes where you might be using, let's say uh, you wanted to aggregate within the partitioning of the data, and whether to rank it, whether to aggregate, or there are so many functions are available, okay, for you to do that. And if you wanted to know what exactly the different functions available, there is Microsoft provides a beautiful documentation. So I can take a look and see what are the different window functions are available. For example, if you see window functions in ADF. Not this one, right? So in all the available functions, you can see it over there. You can see cum, distinct, dense rank. Just now we used dense rank, and there is also lag, lead, entile, rank. All these row number, all these are available. We can use it in the Windows functions. All right. So that's how we create window functions, and it's very important to for you to understand how this window function works. And if a scenario comes, you can usually use them uh, in your use case. Okay. So now one of the Sachit asked where I can use these all things, right? So these kind of functions and all these available inbuilt functions, you can use it in data analysis. So in many projects, before you getting into the actual, moving the data from different layers and creating reports, you need to do a lot of analysis, right? For example, you wanted to when you comes to the data quality, right? So when you want to identify the outliers, and when you want to identify the missing values, when you want to identify the, for example, let's say the same data for department 10 it came as 1,000. Okay. So now you did this analysis, and you have sent this analysis to your management. Now, if you are the CEO of the department, or if you are the manager of the department, I have sent you this one. Hey, look, for department 10, it's the average salary is 1,000. Department 20 is average is so on and so forth, and department 30 is something, and department 50 is something. Now, if I send you this to you, what is the first impression comes to you? Sachit or anybody?
Like, sorry, I didn't get the question, sir. First
So
impression means what?
I got a employee data from a source system, and I did a report on using a Windows function, and I sent to you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the output I sent to you, saying that, yeah, so these are the department wise average salaries. within this organization. Right?
So it means we are giving top three department wise salary probably.
Correct. What are the top three? I'm not saying top three. So right now we have three or four. So you're going it. It could be 100 also. Right.
Correct.
So now I'll give you this report to you. Okay.
Mhm.
I give you that. Okay. Department 10 is 1000. Department 20 is some value. 30 is something. And 450 is something. So
Mhm.
when you take a look at this report, what is the first impressions you are getting?
Maybe department wise the value salary average value is increasing something. Or
But see, department 10 cannot be average is 1000, right?
yeah.
Right. That is the first impression you'll. How come department 10 is
Ah,
just a
okay, okay,
thousand?
okay. Yeah, correct, 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 correct. Because salary is 10,000 above, and how come average is just 1,000? Yeah,
Correct. Right.
yeah.
That is something wrong in your data.
Mm-hmm.
Right. See, many times you do lot of analysis on this data. We cannot use this data as is and give the wrong. This is the wrong information, right? And if you give this trend and he will take an action out of that, and that's go to wrong, and it will obviously impact your organization.
Yeah.
Right. So these kind of analysis and data quality checks you need to perform before you do the actual reporting to the your management. Now what you
Mm-hmm.
will do? Okay, department 10 there is something wrong, right? So now you
Mm-hmm.
go back and you will see only the department 10 records. If there may be some there may be some there may be some people who doesn't have any salary or doesn't salary is not updated. You got a blank, you got a null records, right? So now
Mm-hmm.
you will go back and you will discuss with your source system where you got the hey, look, the department and data is looks very clumsy. It's not up to the, it's not updated values, right? So you
Correct.
do all these
Probably
things.
correct. Probably the data cleaning more required. So if
Correct.
anyone's salary is zero, don't count it because it will change the average, but it does not have a salary.
Absolutely. But so these are the inputs for you to initiate those discussions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have this one, you are also clueless. Remember, you're dealing with 1 billion records, and you cannot do manually one by one whether you check whether it's having or not having. What was, let's say this guy by mistake it got 100. This guy had 200.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of 2000, by mistake there is typo 100 and 200 you got. So what would happen? It would impact your overall average, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So these kind of analysis has to be done. You remember, in a typical project, your 30% is your analysis. Data
Correct.
analysis it goes to 30%, and you will because one of the key objective of any data project is the quality of the data. If there is no quality, nobody is going to trust your data, and nobody is going to invest on you to create all the reports and all, right? If you whatever the data you're getting, if simply you get this, and if you simply give the report to management without doing all these quality checks, the trust is broken, right? For example, let's say I am sending to you this Sachit, to you. You are a senior manager of that payroll system, and if I send you this like this, you next time also when I send you, you will not believe on me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this guy is not doing some analysis correctly, and when this guy is sent, I wanted to double check. Otherwise, if I take an action out of using this data, and it's a wrong it's the wrong action I'm taking, correct? So
Yeah.
so that's where you have to use all these transformations and checks and balances to come up with a any typical project. 30% is 30 to 40% is analysis and quality checks.
Mm-hmm. Basically, as far as I know, this role is just not ADF knowledge. It roles
Exactly.
also need some
It's a
analytical bent of mind.
absolutely, it's a complete package.
Yeah.
right? Or maybe let's say in your organization there is a data analyst is available, right? So he
Mhm.
does the all these analysis before coming to you, right? But
Mhm.
to for him to take that analysis, you might have to provide him these inputs,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? So and then you will do the once everything you fix all these things, and then you will do the actual transformation and load the data, which is another 50%. And once you load the data, that is a source of truth, is my golden copy of data, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody can questions this one, nobody can this one somebody can questions why it's right. But if I have this one, nobody can question. I did all the performs all these tasks and all everything correctly, and I gave you okay, not this one, I changed this to 15,000. This is my golden copy. Nobody can questions this one. Okay, so that is where it's very important to understand all these things. But to do this, you won't take days and days of to do this, right? Let's say you got a data set of some 1 million records, and somebody tells you, "Hey, can you take a look of this data?" What do? Immediately you will use this ADF, and immediately you do some of the quality checks you want to perform using these transformations, and you can do that, and then you can give to them. That you will not take a days and days to just to do this all this stuff. Okay, so that is the important, that is the real time purpose of knowing all these transformations. The same thing if you want to do it in Excel, it will break and you don't know where it's coming problem, and it takes a lot of time. But you have ADF, since you have that knowledge, if you have ADF knowledge in your project, and you are the best one to do this, and you will give to them, and your manager and everybody is happy. All right.
I feel like it ADF some extent duplicate work what Power BI can do.
Correct. So see, I'm not saying yes, there are some overlaps, but each one have their own purpose and their own uh,
Correct.
right. So in Power BI also there are some limitations, right?
Mhm.
You cannot use 1 billion records of Excel directly in Power BI.
Correct.
It will break again.
It will because it's used in memory table,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So
it
right.
will go
So
hang instant.
everyone has their own purposes, right? You cannot discard something, and it's like though we have cars, but still we drive in two wheelers, right? Why? Because everyone has their own purpose. No one can replace another one,
All right.
right? Though we have 5G network today and 6G also coming, still some people are using 2G 3G, right?
Inspired by Kalmadi.
It's not just a replacement. Okay, everyone have their own pros and cons, their own purpose to do that.
Yeah.
But irrespective of the things, the concepts remain same, right? For example, pivot in Excel, pivot in ADF remain same. There is no difference,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if you don't
Yeah.
know the concept, no matter whether you use Power BI, whether you use Excel, whether you use ADF, you don't know what is pivoting. You don't know. That's it, irrespective of the tool. Okay, so now quickly we'll move on. So now let's see rank, right? So we touched upon this rank. Rank similar. You want to rank the data. You can just rank them. For example, you can give a rank column name. You can give rank, and you can just mention which column you want to do the rank. Right? I want to do for salary and descending order. Right, you have only two options, ascending or descending. There is no other options. You can quickly create, you want to see the ranking, you want to rank the employees based on salary. You can quickly do this one, and you can rank them, and you can give that output. You see, it's quickly created a rank column, and based on the salary, all 55, 1, 52, 50, all this created. Okay, so these are the benefits of transformations. They're readily available. You can use it readily. But the same thing you want to do it in Excel. I give you 1 billion record, and can you rank it? How do you do that? First, you have to do in descending order, and your Excel will block, and Excel will break it, and it takes a lot of time. Right here, you can use it within a few of seconds with a few clicks. Okay, so that's about the pivoting and unpivot. You need to try window clause we discussed, and rank also we discussed. Now the last one before we wind up, cast. Cast is nothing but uh, converting one kind of a column data type to another kind of a column. Right? For example, employee ID. If you see right now, salary, right? Salary I wanted to convert into integer, or I want to convert into different for decimals, or I want to convert into some binary values, right? Basically cast is um, uh, converts the one data type to another data type, and you can give a specified format also. For example, within integer you want to perform, you can see if you want Indian zero zeros has to be there. For example, you got a uh, something like 2K, 3K, right? These values, how do you do that? You want to convert it to 2000, right? 3000. So you can do all this stuff using cast. Or you want to append prefix a dollar in front of all the amounts, and you want to use US format, which is 00 comma 000, right? So all these things you can done using cast. Let's say I want to use okay, so let's see how it looks like. So remember, Sachit and everybody, we discussed what is the purpose of ADF. ADF is for big data analytics, right? So we will be doing only using ADF for big data kind of a when you're dealing with the big data, right? If you do with the smaller data, like a few thousands of things, it's a waste of time and money.
Yes.
That can easily done in Excel. But the main purpose of using ADF is for big data. Okay. Yeah. So you can see, so this, internally it uses the Spark and Apache Spark.
Sir, one question I have. So, uh, this ADF basically uses compute power, right?
Mm.
So this compute power, like we have automatically, like in Azure, integration runtime, which does for us when we process. As of now, we are using the default one, correct?
Mm.
So my question is, means this compute power is coming from the Azure. So suppose somebody wants to use their own compute power, means suppose somebody
On-prem.
has, or maybe on-prem, or they
Yeah.
have Databricks, or they have any other option, right? So my suppose I want to do my own computing in SQL Server itself. So my question is, this compute power is can be external also, means can be used as a
No,
data.
no, no, no,
No.
no, no.
Okay.
So you remember I think that is the question is basically the cloud concept, right? Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to see Microsoft Azure, sorry, Microsoft AWS. Everybody are the cloud providers, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you say cloud provider, what they do, they provide us infra infrastructure to us to create a big data kind of analytics, right? They
Mm,
give us storage, they give us what do you call? They give us compute, right?
mhm, mhm,
The similar
mhm.
thing, if you, as you mentioned, you have on-prem, you can do it as SaaS. Why do you want to use cloud?
Yeah, but like I'm just thinking because if some customer has on-prem, so definitely they can use on-prem. So what
Yeah,
happens
yeah,
if
yeah. So
uh,
on-prem also, you will have the same options in SSAS. You can install an SSA package and you can do that.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that's all for today. And there are a couple of formatting and all other options are there. We will discuss in detail in tomorrow's class. And but not tomorrow. I will resume on Monday. But as I said, do your homework. Okay, explore all these options and explore. I know your time, but do this. It will adds a value.
Yeah, sir, I have two updates for you. So Monday, I again got a meeting early morning, and then next week,
So your
from fifth.
manager loves you on Monday mornings.
No, no, no. This one is the client meeting is the because my generally office hours starts by 6 a.m. in the morning.
No
So
worries, no worries. Yeah.
so I may be late because they put it. I tried to convince them to put it some other day, but
No
they are
worries.
scheduling at same time, which is the class time. So probably I'll skip for 30 minutes and join. And then